And we will begin with a roll call, Lauren.
Commissioner Nieder.
I am here.
Commissioner Fauci.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger. Controller Wickham.
Here.
Great. Is there any public comment to come before the salary board at this time? If you are online and wanted to make a public comment, could you please use the raise your hand feature? Lauren, are we seeing anyone at this time?
I'm seeing county employees and a couple that are scheduled to speak at the BOC meeting. I'm not seeing any.
No hands raised. All right. So anyone in the room, I think we've got a full house here, which is wonderful, but I don't know that you're here for public comment. So maybe some other things. We'll go into then the approval of the minutes from the January 30th salary board.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll go into the approval of the salary board actions.
I'll make a motion to approve the salary board actions except for the sheriff's department.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then we have the sheriff's
I'll
department.
make a motion for the approval of the salary board actions that were discussed by Ron Kerr in the prior executive session.
I'll second that motion.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Nice to see y'all. Thank you. Congratulations on your
Thank
longevity.
Is there any other?
Things to do.
Yeah. Any other business to come before the salary board at this time?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Al. I always appreciate your promptness. We are adjourned out of the salary board. We'll go into the Board of Commissioners meeting and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order and begin with the roll call again, Lauren.
Yes. Commissioner Nieder.
I am here.
Commissioner Fauci.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Is there any public comment on non-agenda items to come before the board at this time? It appears we have someone in the audience, sir. If you'd like to state your name, please.
Yes, Gene Still, STILP from the group, no TMI restart.
Okay, Jean, welcome.
Thank you.
And we do try to keep our comments to about 5 minutes or less.
Make it less.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, yeah, how you doing? Good. How are you? Great. Anybody else?
Would we want one for the record? Sure.
Okay. How about the 9/11? Who's in charge of 9/11?
All right, Mr. Still, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to the Cumberland County Commissioners and folks of Cumberland County concerning the forced TMI evacuation plan now going on, planning, I should say. At some point, the burden of evacuation planning will again be laid at your door. If it has not been already, you'll be directed to line up Cumberland County residents in cooperation in a Cumberland County evacuation plan. And especially, it's interesting because nobody in Cumberland County is served by Constellation Energy. Our message is simple: no TMI restart. We are not Constellation Energy and Microsoft slaves. Everybody is aware of the recent deal. Microsoft buys the new energy from Constellation Energy for the data centers in Washington, I should say Virginia. The question is, for who is such an evacuation plan being prepared? Be prepared so that such a plan would pass muster for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission so they could license TMI. But for who? Let's look deeper. It is not for the citizens of central Pennsylvania. It is for two gigantic corporations, Constellation Energy and Microsoft. All the energy goes to Microsoft for its Virginia data centers. Our bottom line is this: the citizens of Pennsylvania are not Constellation and Microsoft slaves. I won't take any risk for Microsoft or Constellation Energy. Forget about the pros and cons of nuclear energy. This is about the citizens here being treated like slaves. We have been there. We have done that from 74 to 79 and from 85 to 219. We have taken our turn. Key to saving life, as everybody in emergency planning knows, myself being a fireman and an EMT, key to saving life is to avoid things that you really do not have to do. It's best to mitigate the time spent of actions that do not benefit you. The best preparation for emergency actions to mitigate a threat. No reopening of TMI goes no reopening of TMI goes a long way toward avoiding an avoidable amount of actions. Years ago, in the early 80s, the residents of Shore nuclear plant in Long Island, which was never was able to open because all the emergency planning evacuation did not work. People said no and would not cooperate with the utilities emergency planning process. The utilities said they could evacuate Long Island. Common sense told everyone the utility was nuts. Plans approved on paper bear little resemblance to reality. Just trying to evacuate Cumberland County on an icy winter day like we had last week. Winter storm, dangerous side. There's no way. Total chaos. In the past, when you had such conditions, TMI did not shut down. They operated no matter what the conditions were on the highways. We're urging complete non-cooperation with Constellation Energy and Microsoft's plans. Besides Microsoft and Bill Gates with $186 billion walk into Cumberland County and offer $1 billion for you to play this game. Did Constellation? No. Did Cumberland County get any kind of any money of the federal? $1.6 billion our tax money that the federal government gave Constellation? No. If they want you to play, where's the pay? Where's a chunk of bucks for every citizen in the 10-mile evacuation zone? A couple $100 million would sure help relieve taxes. They bought the Capitol. Politicians are ready for the campaign contributions, haven't they? Yes. Politicians will sell out in a minute, not you guys, of course. And are any of you on that list? No, they're not. Check. Constellation and Microsoft are two businesses. How many other businesses in Cumberland County really don't want to be bothered with evacuation planning? Want to take the risk of their business being extinguished? No one I know. If you look at the current evacuation plan, places like nursing homes, prisons, hospitals, daycare centers, high rises, for example, are not even mentioned. The new Cumberland Army Depot, by the other name, which serves 22 forward areas, is impossible to evacuate. Even if the personnel are evacuated, supplies that are needed around the world remain in harm's way. Talk about threatening national security, because the new Cumberland Army Depot serves 22 forward bases or more. If you look at the attached emergency plan, which I have, I'm sorry, I didn't attach these sheets. I'm sorry, never mind. If you look at the attached emergency plan, you'll see that New Cumberland has 7,000 people, and they all have to go. And Lower Allentown's 20,000 people, and all are being directed to the Big Spring High School. Imagine 27,000 people showing up at the Big Spring High School. Study those plans to familiarize yourself with the utilities acceptable solutions. Nothing is ever said about the farm livestock and the top foot of topsoil have to be removed if contamination happens. There will be more discussions in the coming year, but start to think about your options. Just so you know, restart, your problems go away. No fake plans, no fake drills, no risk of contamination. Besides, there are already 700 metric tons of highly radioactive waste there, and 2 plants that are not cleaned up. NRC has repeatedly broken its promise to the residents here that the waste would be removed. Instead, you have that waste forever, and they want to put 20 more years of high-level nuclear waste there. Just because Constellation Energy has changed their stationery and a few signs, they can never change the name and history of that island. It will always be 3 Mile Island. Evacuation is impossible. Cumberland County is not filled with Constellation slaves. We are not going back. You are not going back, hopefully. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Steele.
I'm sorry, I don't have the current evacuation plan here for you, but I will make sure I send it to you.
You had other attachments on this
I
items that
did.
you gave to us, so thank you very much.
Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay, thank you very much.
Just mention one thing is that almost all of those issues have been discussed by this board in detail with our public safety review team. So that's very much on our radar.
Excellent, excellent. Now, would you, the commissioners, ever call a meeting for the citizens to meet and discuss this? So while we and other groups like our group can come in and discuss this with you at your public safety meeting times, okay? I mean, you have private meetings, but also you would have a public meeting, okay?
I think if there was a public call for that of some substantial nature, I think the board would be very open to holding a public meeting. But I would look to, I guess, our solicitor to find out what role we actually can play in this process.
Right. I'll tell you right now, the solicitors say you have no role, but you have to establish yourself with a role. At this point, they say that the NRC has the top dog here, and also PEMA, but you can establish a role in there. You have to fight for a role because it's just we don't want another 20 years of madness. Okay, thank you very much. Shall I wait to hear from you on that public safety thing? Shall I wait to hear from you?
I think we need to discuss it among ourselves.
Fine. Okay, thank you.
Plan of action.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Mr. Stump, you are welcome to stay, but you are also welcome to exit the meeting that we have going.
Is there going to be a cake for these folks?
I wish there were, not here anyway. Hopefully at their places where their offices are.
Congratulations, everybody receiving awards today, but let's go on to the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone online showing that they have an interest in providing public comment on non-agenda items, Lauren?
Not at this time.
All right, we will move on to, as I always say, the best part of the meeting. And that is, we have some employee recognition for years of service, as you all have heard. First up, we have Kent from Public Safety with 25 years of service. And Commissioner Bashi, I believe you're going to make that presentation, and we've got a whole crew here. So come on down. Congratulations, Ken. Thank you. Scoot on your turn. So on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, I want to thank you for 25 years of public service to the residents of Cumberland County and beyond. I mean, really, what you do is unbelievable and fantastic, and makes you a real life superhero. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. I just want to say a few words about Kent. Obviously, he started with us in February of 2000, reaching his 25 years now. But he worked his way up through the ranks as a telecommunicator and an assistant supervisor. He spent almost 15 years working the night shift on our D team. And when he transitioned in August of 2021 to the office, we were a little concerned about what Sunshine was going to do to him, but he has survived and he has adjusted well. And Kent is a very creative person. If you need a logo or some type of design work, see Kent, and he's going to give you a really nice product. He has a lot of patience to deal with details. He's doing a great job with our quality assurance program. He took one of our new programs, Lab Tech, which is our online scheduling, and implemented that with a lot of programming and a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that when the staff transitioned, that was a process that was non-disruptive to our operation, which was extremely important. So Kent, thank you for all the work that you've done and that you continue to do. And Kent's wife, Tammy, and son Wyatt are here. Thank you for your support over the years as well, because that's always important for our staff.
Yeah, fantastic. We did a little bit of training at one point, and Kent saved me in the from being from an armed shooter. So it was well done. But thank you for all that you've done to support public safety in Cumberland County over 25 years. We truly appreciate it. So we'll take a few formal photos and then we'll get the family up here, if that's okay with you.
You have anything to say?
Do you have anything you'd like to add? Okay. All right, are we good?
Can I get a little bit here? Perfect. All right. Okay. Then do you want to come up and join
It's
us?
the family.
You trust my kids. Usually not picture taker.
Yeah, except the Snapchat guy.
All right. Gonna take a couple.
Got it?
There it is.
Thank you. Well, we might as well stay standing because we have another. Yes. We have another, it's 20 years for this young lady. So clearly, you know, out of high school, I know.
Yeah. Not really.
But Bethany Sazarulo heads up our Department of Elections and the Bureau of Elections. And in fact, as many of you know, that is very trying at different elections, and she handles it all with such great preparedness. And I feel like is just ready for absolutely anything that comes her way. And sometimes, quite frankly, the state makes it a little challenging for us in the 11th hour, which she manages beautifully. She's built an amazing team. I was really just thrilled to be a part of the election and seeing it all in action this past cycle. So Bethany, I don't know how you've done it for 20 years, but we're so thankful that you do. Congratulations. Are we gonna do formal stuff here?
Yep.
Do that one, and then Stacy will have.
Yeah, everyone looks equal. Okay,
Does that work?
I can. All right, perfect, we're good.
And you need to put X's on the floor.
All right.
Stacy, would you like to say
Yeah,
a few
so
words?
I actually was contemplating as I was sitting here waiting for this agenda item. I actually met Bethany on my first day with the county, and I can honestly say that she was warm and inviting then and every day since. And I just value our working relationship, and I know that really everybody that she interacts with in the county feels the same way. So thank you. Thank you for 20 years of that and 20 more.
Yeah. All right, you have some of your team out here. Did they want to come up?
Yes, I'm gonna make
Come
that
on, come
Mother
on,
Day.
come on.
Evidently need 4 more residentials.
That doesn't sound good. You're right.
Get you all in.
Sure.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think
Does that
that's-
work? And I think
Yeah.
we're even, aren't we?
Yeah, this'll work.
Maybe.
All right. Okay, we're good.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah. Alrighty, we will roll on into the consent agenda then at this time.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. The consent agenda is a list of routine items that do not appear to be controversial in nature and do not appear to require any discussion. They are agenda items 6 through 11. Anybody would request any of these items to be discussed, now would be the time to make that request. Hearing none, seeing none, Commissioners, I would request action on the consent agenda.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners.
Yes.
That takes us then to the regular agenda, which is a list of routine items that will be discussed and may be acted upon individually. And we'll start with agenda item 12, which is discussion and approval of a letter of support regarding real estate collaborative regarding Frog Switch redevelopment. And we have Jill Gato from GMS Funding Solutions joining us to discuss. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I am here today to request a letter of support from the commissioners for a PA sites funding application that would be applied to the cleanup and demolition work and redevelopment work at the Frog Switch site in Carlisle. In addition to being with GMS, I also sit on the board of directors for the Real Estate Collaborative, which is the subsidiary of CADIC. REC will be taking ownership of that site at the end of May and has been pursuing funding and working with the borough and the county and the state and the federal government to pull in as many resources as we can to get that site redeveloped and promote economic development and just revitalize that end of Carlisle. So I respectfully request a letter of support from the commissioners for that funding application. The amount of the request is a little over $10 million, which is obviously a lot of money. We're pursuing a 60% grant and 40% loan as from the PA Sites program.
Thank you, Jill. I think this is such an incredible program. Having been a lifelong resident of the area, it would be wonderful. You've got a lot of work ahead of you, but You know, I believe it is one thing that this board can agree on is a support of that specific project for the betterment of not just Carlisle, but Cumberland County. Did anyone have questions of Jill? I do not. All right. Entertain a motion to approve the PA sites letter of support. I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jill. Thank you, commissioners. That takes us then to agenda item 13, and we have Marissa Price from GMS Solutions online to discuss and seek approval for a letter of support regarding North Middleton Local Share Account Program Open Space Plan Project. Good morning, Marissa.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Whenever I switch
Yes.
between Zoom and Teams, I have to make sure my audio is working. So North Middleton Township, they own 3 parks, but they currently lack like an established vision for their entire park system and green space system. So they're applying for the statewide LSA. Well, they applied already, went in November to the statewide LSA for $132,150. And that is the full amount of the plan, which will include 3 phases. The phase 1 will be the assessment of the park sites and surrounding context. And that'll include some public engagement to make sure that what they're, implementing is what the community wants. Phase 2 will be the visioning and conceptual master planning. And then 3 will be the forming of the implementation strategy and identification of resources. So the township is seeking a support letter if there's interest. I believe you already have a draft for language. Any questions?
I do not have any questions. I don't either. Someone like to make a motion? I'll move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Marissa. Thank you, commissioners. All right, that takes us to agenda item 14. We have Justin Miller online to discuss and seek approval for authorization to advertise for electronics recycling processing service bids. Justin, good morning.
Good morning. Our current contract for electronics recycling services has an end date of April 30th. The current vendor, in accordance with the contract, gave 90-day notification that they do not wish to renew for another year. Therefore, I'm seeking your approval to advertise, actually request for proposals for providing services starting May 1st. We do intend to use pen bid, and the due date would be March 7th.
Any questions for Justin?
So then, Justin, you'll hold your first event with this individual, or is that a different vendor for your April 10th event?
Oh, that's a different program,
That's
Kelly.
different.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is for
Okay.
electronics recycling, which we do on a more frequent basis.
Okay, it won't impact that event. Okay, very good.
No, it will
Thank you.
not.
Thank you.
Joe, do you anticipate any problem finding bidders on this?
I don't, Gary. I think we'll get proposals. What I don't know is it going to be a similar format to what we had been doing? We may see some interest from companies that are getting manufacturer support. So that I'm curious about that, but I don't think we'll have trouble getting any proposals.
You think it would result in, is the market heading that we might have a more restrictive collection? Fewer items, fewer types of items that are accepted?
That's why we're doing a request for proposals. We really want them to tell us what they can do. When I look across the board, these companies do something a little different in terms of what they accept. So that's yet to be known. What I think is we might get some proposals, from a company that's with manufacturer support, which means we could not charge for certain items, but we'll have to see what comes in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion, please.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
That then takes us to the contract and grants portion of the meeting, and I'll turn it over to Angela Smyser.
Thank you, Stacy. Good morning, everybody.
Agenda item 15 is a contract for children and youth services, and I will call on Jamie Riper to discuss. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is for Adelphi Services Incorporated. This is a data analytical tool that JPO is using. They are able to input information whenever a youth closes out of their system. And then hopefully that program is then looking at the data and helping them to choose the best services possible for the youth that are in their system, and give them the best chances for success in their programs. Any questions?
Any questions for Jamie?
I see, I was going to say, I think Andrew was hopping on. Andy, this is the system that you've updated the commissioners on, that you've been working within for 2 years, and have data for about 2 years. Is that correct?
Correct. We've been a pilot county along with some other counties, Allegheny and Lebanon, and really getting this project established. So for the first 2 years, we were just part of the program without really having to pay any type of fees for the service. Since that time, we have about 450 cases in a database now that we're recording upon every closeout of youth that's on supervision. Ultimately, some of the outcomes of this will be to provide dashboards and assist in decision-making with various programs that we utilize, whether it's residential or in-home programs.
Any other questions of Andy at this time?
I do not have.
Or
any.
Jamie? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval, please. I'll move to approve. It's moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you both.
Thank you.
That takes us to agenda item 16, and Anita Brewster is here to discuss the grant agreement for court administration CASA. Good morning, Anita.
Good morning, everyone. We would like to request the approval of the acceptance of a grant through PA CASA, and it's for $36,049. PA CASA has agreed to handle $15,000 of that to do travel reimbursements for our CASAs, so it's direct from us to them agreement, but the total would be that $36,049. What's left over would be applied towards a part-time benefits and salary for one person, and then some additional supplies and expenses. So we're hopeful.
Yeah, that's great. Money coming in is always good. Thank you.
And if I remember correctly, the CASAs were paying these extraordinary expenses on their own.
Absolutely.
Yes, so this is incredibly helpful. Thank you for this hard work on finding this grant and pushing this forward.
Thank you. And I want to, Katie.
Yes.
I did 3 of these. I got her this time, and what a difference to have somebody who kind of knows what we're doing.
All right, we'll entertain a motion. I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Right, moving on to agenda item 17, I will call on Eric Bradnovich to discuss the contract for the District Attorney's Office FID. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Commissioners. The contract before you is for a Nova Gorilli. Nova is a certified latent fingerprint examiner. We use her for second verifies and quality control for the latent prints going out of our office.
Any questions for Eric?
No. No. And I'll move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Great, thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Eric.
Thanks, Commissioners.
All right, agenda item 18, I will call on Robert Barner to discuss the contracts for ERP. Good morning, Robert.
Morning, Commissioners. I have 2 addendums for you here this morning. The first one is for Infor Inc. It is a total increase of $61,481.64. This is for the purchase of lease accounting as well as the additional tenant that is required for our current project. And the second contract is with an addendum for our contract with RPI, a total increase of $50,800, and that is to implement the lease accounting module.
Robert, the only question I just want to make sure I have the timeline right. When was this project originally approved? Was it 22 or 23? Do you recall?
I do not. The initial approval of the capital project would have been, I believe, in 24. We have been looking into everything since 22, 23 timeframe.
Okay, because I think there was an approval to advance it prior to my tenure on the board. So I was just trying to figure out how many years this has been in process, and we hope to have it, I mean, it will be completed in 26 fully with the HR module. Is that correct? Okay.
Finance
you-
module should be implemented this year and HR the following. So next year, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Robert?
I have none. Will entertain a motion? So I will move to approve.
Both, we're doing both, right? Okay, I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, commissioners.
That takes us to agenda item 19, and I will call on Brent Durham to discuss a capital project request for facilities management. Good morning, Brent.
Good morning, everyone. This capital request before you is in the amount of $175,000. The purpose of the request is we would like to relocate one of our magisterial district judges to a facility that's more secure and better suited as a court facility. The money will be used to renovate, outfit, and secure the new area. We'll be building courtroom, holding cell, secure area for staff, along with separate rooms for opposing parties. We will outfit the space with new furniture. Their current furniture is over 25 years old and quite frankly is in poor condition. They will be securing the area with cameras, card access, and the area will be alarmed. Just give you a breakdown of the costs. I'm estimating $70,000 for the furniture, $30,000 for engineering, $28,000 for security, and then $47,000 for the actual renovation. This space was actually a good find for the county. It's a fairly open floor plan currently, so we have very little renovation to do in preparation of building the courtroom and the holding cell, etc. I did have $120,000 of renovations in our budget for this project should it move forward this year. So just letting you know that. Also, the tenant that is currently in the space has a lot of furniture there that they do not want to take with them and are looking to sell. So we may very well be able to lower the furniture estimate.
That was going to be my comment, well, a couple of comments, but with so many people vacating office space, I think there should be a glut of lightly used office furniture available. If you can find it, that would be great. And secondly, how long have you been looking for a space for this relocation of this facility?
It started in 2012. John Lott started in 2012. It was shortly after DJ Placey moved into that space as a temporary space, and they sort of identified it as a security issue at that point.
So it's been temporary since 2012?
That's where it all initiated. It was
Okay.
initiated with Judge Placey, but we are around 30, give or take, places that we've looked at over those years.
Yeah.
Many of those we've done drawings, we did multiple sets of drawings, and just for whatever reason the deal would fall through. But
This one is secured.
well, depending on the next.
So I know you put a lot of work into this process, and thank you for hosting the board at the existing location, because it was quite evident that it is really not an acceptable property for what needs to happen within a magisterial district justice's office. So I appreciate your tenacity on this. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Brent? No, thank you for all that work, Brent.
Second that
Thank you.
typical search.
All right, I will move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right, and Brent has some other items to discuss. So next we'll be discussing the contract for facilities management.
Yeah, so the next thing is a lease agreement with Jewelry Properties 2 LP. This is the property we just talked about at 600 North 12th Street in Lemoyne. It's a second floor property. We would be leasing 4,950 square feet with a starting rate of $18.25 per square foot. This rate does escalate 2.5% yearly. It also includes heating, cooling, water, sewer, electric. There's 7 reserved parking spaces under a cantilever section of the building, and then there's 5 additional parking spaces that will be used on court day. This is a 10-year lease. It has 2 5-year renewal options after that. One thing I do want to make you aware of is that there is a clause in this lease that should we leave within 15 years, that we agree to remove the judge's bench, the holding cell, and a small section of wall that separates the court staff from the lobby. It's clearly identified in one of the exhibits in the lease as to what we will remove. I'm not concerned about that. We are going to clearly identify the attaching points when we build these areas. We're not going to put any electric in these areas. And we're planning to create instructions that will attach with our files so that down the road, if we do leave within 15 years, it should be easy for somebody to take a look at this area and identify where it's easy to remove. We had Camp Hill and West Shore police chiefs at this location. Listened to any concerns that they had, addressed them. They're on board with it. They like the location. AOPC was notified. They're aware of it, and they've given their approval as well. The location, it's a nice setup. We'll be able to, check off basically all the security requirements. It's a private entrance for staff. The police will be able to park in the back of the building, out of sight of public. They'll bring the prisoners up and then right into where the holding cell is. There's separation of rooms for the opposing parties. So we're able to check off a lot of the boxes that doesn't exist in their current location. One other thing that I wanted to add is, because this space is a little larger than we need, my plan is to take a 200 to 250 square foot room and make that into a room that's available for other county employees to use. They call it hoteling space, if you will. We're planning to build some counters there, put some chairs in, potentially a printer, potentially a copier, depending on what the needs are for the space. I've talked with Andy Benner, Darby, Charles Carruthers. They all feel that they be able to make good use of that space.
And Brent, you may want to just talk to the district attorney's office. They were using some space in a nonprofit to be on that, kind of closer to the West Shore.
Yeah.
So that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So, perfect. Does anyone have any questions of Brent on this? I do either. We'll entertain a motion. I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you, Brent.
And Brent has two.
One more.
He has 2 more capital projects.
Just come out and sit down. So the next one here before you is we're asking permission to purchase a new Ford truck with a plow at a cost of $60,450. This will replace a 2008 Ford pickup that we have that has high mileage and significant rusting, and in all probability will not pass inspection come October. We did actually take this truck a few years back and remove the bed and replace some of the rusty cross members just to buy a little bit more time with this truck. But it's at a point now where it's beyond its useful life. If approved, we'll sell this on municipal. And also just to let you know, this truck has been on our 5-year fleet vehicle plan, and it was budgeted for this year for replacement.
Thank you. Any other questions of Brent? I'll entertain a motion. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
One more item. Go ahead.
So this last one is we're asking permission to replace a 15-ton rooftop HVAC unit at the RO building with a total project cost of $62,000. We recently noticed significant hail damage on the condenser coil of this unit. And we're also experiencing problems with the evaporator metering devices. What this means is we're losing cooling output in this unit. Our concern is that as it starts to warm up, we probably will not be able to use our nighttime setbacks. And when it really starts warming up, what our concern is that we may not have enough cooling capacity with this unit. It also is over 20 years old. It uses the old R22 Freon that was phased out many years ago. The replacement is quite expensive. The replacement gas is quite expensive. For these reasons is why we're suggesting replacing. We did have this in our 2024 plan for replacement. I sort of was holding off to see how the feasibility study went as far as if we would be selling the property, but we're at a point now where we really need to make a move and replace this unit. I had also included this unit in our ARP grant submission a couple of years ago, so this cost will be covered through that ARP grant.
Any questions for Brent on that last?
No, we want to keep temperatures cool in that building specifically. I think it could get a little heated from time to time. So thank you very much. We'll entertain a motion.
For approval.
It's moved and all seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. That takes us to agenda item 23, and I will call on Katie Zimmerman to discuss a grant application for grants administration. Good morning.
You want to take this one too? All right, good morning, commissioners. I am here requesting approval to apply for our municipal assistance program grant from DCED. This is a grant that can fund up to 50% of a project to help local governments operate effectively and efficiently. So we would like to apply to support the strategic planning project. The amount we're requesting is $99,753, which represents 50% of the bid from the highest finalist proposal. Once you all choose a strategic plan vendor and we negotiate a final scope of work and price, we can work with DCED to adjust the grant amount if needed. So this is a standard process they do that Kirk and I have both talked to them about, to say they understand that a lot of governments don't have kind of their final price when they're submitting the application. So I am requesting permission both to submit the application and then in a second motion, requesting approval of a resolution that will include in the application that states that you are committing to funding the match if we're awarded.
Okay. Any questions of Katie at this time? Then if we want to take these motions successive, if someone would like to begin with the grant. So I will move to approve the PA Department of Community and Economic Development's Municipal Assistance Program grant application of $99,753.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. 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 So then I will move to approve resolution 2024-3 authorizing an application to the Pennsylvania Municipal Assistance Program.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. 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 Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, that takes us to agenda item 25, and I will call on Mark Evans to discuss the contracts and whatnot for MHIDD. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, commissioners. We have 3 contracts to go over today. The first one is for early intervention services for special instruction for Baby and Me LLC. This is a new contract for 24-25 and is going to allow us to serve more children. For alternative behavior consultants, we have a renewal for fiscal year 24-25 and an increase in $2,000 from our prior contract. This is for IDD services, behavioral support. Lastly, on the MH side, for New Visions, we have an amendment to their 24-25 contract. This is an increase in $522,000, $731, excuse me, increase specific to residential services. So this is, if you recall, New Visions has taken over the personal care homes from Keystone. So this is the increase in their contract to reflect that. These are all state-funded contracts.
Any questions for Mark?
So Mark, just in essence, then this new Visions replaces one that we would have had with Keystone previously.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. That's it. So we can take these all as one. Someone would like to make that motion,
I'll
please?
move for approval of the contracts as well.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right, agenda item 26, I will call on Travis Shane to discuss the contracts and grants for the prison. Good morning, Travis.
Patient with you, Brent. I got a couple of them. Good morning, Commissioners. The prison is asking the Board of Commissioners for your approval to accept a grant from the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program in the amount of $14,299. This is a decrease from last year of $2,129. This grant from the Bureau of Justice in conjunction with the ICE and Department of Homeland Security is the grant that will assist with salary costs for incarcerating undocumented criminal aliens with at least one felony or 2 misdemeanor convictions for a violation of state or local laws and are incarcerated in the prison for 4 consecutive days. You want me to do all of them and then at the okay. Moving on, the prison is seeking authorization to renew the contract with LexisNexis. LexisNexis provides the software and updates monthly for our inmate law library. This contract is for 3 years and covers one terminal and the app that is on the inmate's tablet at a cost of $27,072, which is a decrease of $20,833. And in anticipation of a question, the reason that is such a big decrease, that was a 6-year, and now it went back to the 3-year. And if you take the last 3 years in the contract, it's actually only an increase of $540. This contract will be paid for out of the canteen and no general funds will be used.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna
Well
get-
done. I know, he's like on it. Okay.
I'm getting used to you, Kelly. Thirdly, this is the prison's annual agreement with the PA Chiefs of Police Association, which covers the maintenance and service for the CPIN and live scan instruments we use in central processing. The agreement cost for 2025 is $13,164, which is a decrease of $860 from 2024. Just for the board's knowledge, live scan is used for fingerprinting new criminal defendants, making law registration, background checks for new employees, applicant fingerprints for new police officers, and it positively identifies suspects when their ID is in question, and your CPIN is your mugshot system. And lastly, the prison would like to receive on your approval.
Hold on
a
one
van.
second, Travis. Let's do the contracts and grants.
Oh, I'm
Capital
sorry.
project
Man,
is
you got me
separate.
rolling.
So we'll take those 3 items that the warden eloquently explained to us. I will move to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
At least I stayed.
Now you can discuss the capital.
Well, thank you. The prison would like your approval to receive a van from the sheriff's department that they are no longer using. This will allow us to transport 2 or more inmates when the need arises. You'll see there that we're allocating $1,500 for the next 5 years for a total of $7,500. That will cover the cost of regular maintenance, insurance, and inspections.
Thank you.
And I'll wait.
Any other questions for Travis? I'm sorry, the warden. Not, we'll entertain a motion. I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, warden.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right, have a good day. And you too, Sam.
All right, that takes us to agenda item 28. And I will call on Bob Shapley to discuss the contracting grant for public safety. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners. First one is requesting your approval of the 2024 annual Regional 9 County Homeland Security Grant Agreement with FEMA in the amount of $1,086,766. Dolphin County is our fiduciary county on behalf of the 9 counties, but the grant agreement does require all 9 counties to sign and accept the grant. The grant does have various stipulations on percentage amounts for the investment justifications of projects. With that, the grant does support regional training and exercises for all 9 counties, as well as our web EOC, Everbridge alerting, and some of the specialized equipment. And that's based on our yearly threat and hazard assessment. So other items might be the regional microwave, communications equipment for our mobile unit, canines throughout the region, and technical rescue equipment. In fact, we just received a $10,000 reimbursement for our canine purchase from last year. So All right, any questions on that?
Of any concern that this grant will not be funded?
I guess we're just all watching and waiting like everyone else, but as far as I know, this one will be funded, or we expect it to be.
Okay, thank you.
So, and as far as amounts, it's been pretty, probably flat. I think it's down a little bit, like about 100,000, but the funding's been fairly level the last couple of years. So
It's a large
if you
grant.
go back quite a few years, we were as high as 4 million at one point, and that has been reduced now down to about the $1 million level.
And again, you say it's for 9 counties.
Yeah, 9.
Yeah, so it's a large amount. Thank you.
The second one is requesting your approval of the SSC Consulting LLC contract in the amount of $201,536 for professional services. This will carry us through the end of the P25 radio project, includes guidance, consulting, technical assistance for the remaining tower site work, and oversight of the equipment installation, testing, system acceptance, and our cutover plan.
Any questions for Bob on the item?
I do not. Someone like to make a motion, please?
I will move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Bob.
And that takes us to the end of the contract section, and I'll hand it back over to Stacy.
Okay, and I'm going to ask Bob to please discuss agenda item 29, which is a capital project request for public safety.
Okay, requesting approval of capital project in the amount of $15,560 for the completion of our commodity flow study. Provide a review and data of the types, volumes, and transportation routes of hazardous materials moving through the county by all modes of transportation. This helps aid in preparedness planning and training, as well as defining equipment needs for the hazardous materials team. It's a mandated study to complete it every 3 to 5 years. Our last study was in 2020. 8,000 of the total is covered with the Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant, and the remaining 7,560 would be general fund.
Thank you, Bob.
I will move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you, commissioners. That takes us then to agenda item 30, and we have Bethany who's been waiting patiently since the beginning of the meeting to discuss her 2 capital project requests. And again, we'll start with agenda item 30.
So this is for our folder inserter machine. As you probably all know, we send hundreds of letters a week. So it's very handy to have this, and our lease was up. So we need to get a new machine and begin again. We're basically getting the same machine. It's just a newer version. And we're hoping that if we get our election integrity grant in September, that this can be used to cover some of the cost as well.
Questions? And that applies to both of the items on the agenda, right?
I have 2. The second is
Okay.
our mail machine.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just keep going with this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. So the second is the lease is also up on our mail machine. Also, as you know, we send thousands and thousands of things a day, and I don't think that Stacy or Angela would appreciate me bringing it to the mail room here. So we have one in our office, and the lease is up on that one. And again, it's the same machine, just a newer version, and hopefully, again, grant money would cover some of it as well. But it's a very necessary piece of equipment, obviously.
Very good.
And neither one is connected to the internet, correct?
Yeah.
Of course I have it.
Very good. We'll entertain a motion.
I'll move for.
A second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Just one quick question for the solicitor. Are we okay to combine those 2 agenda items together with one vote? Or were you planning on doing a second vote?
No, I was wondering.
Okay.
What's gonna happen, because they are split separately. So.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Bethany. Thank you, commissioners. That takes us into agenda item 32, which is a capital project request for security. And we have Dave Knight here to discuss.
Good morning, everybody. In the interest of safety and security, I'd like to always start with that. We have animal detectors down at the front entrance, domestic relations, the East Wing, and the Dennis Marion building. Those items are all approximately 18 years old, so they've seen better days. I'd like to get some funding to replace those. Right now, the cost would be $27,753.28. Prior to the meeting, I spoke with Brent. We're looking at a 25,000 AOPC grant. That grant would cover a majority of that cost, so the county would be on the hook for roughly 2,000 and change. So I think for 4 of those items, for what we're putting into it here, it should be a slam dunk, easy replacement for technology reasons.
Dave, I was coming in the front the other day and it seemed like that the old machines may be giving a false signaling. Is that accurate?
So a lot of the times with technology, it expires pretty quickly nowadays. So where it's located, proximity wise to that door, that cold air comes in, it has an effect on that machine. These new machines are all weather, they can be used inside, outside. That should alleviate some of that problem.
Because I know that creates a hassle for you. I mean, you're wanding then every person.
Correct.
Because the machine is giving a false reading.
Correct. So I think a lot of it's location as well as age and technology.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Entertain a motion? All second, it's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, commissioners. That takes us to agenda item 33, which is discussion and approval of ordinance 2025-01, which is an ordinance setting the compensation for all elected tax collectors collecting taxes for the county of Cumberland for years 2026 through 2029. So just to kind of set the stage, on January 30th, there was authorization provided to advertise the ordinance. The ordinances was shared and also advertised on February 2nd. And now here we are with this item on the agenda for approval with a required approval by tomorrow in order to meet county code and state law. Any questions?
No, Commissioner Fashi and I were at the meeting where this was then approved, so I would just ask Commissioner Eichelberger if he has any questions or comments at this time.
No.
Okay. So entertain a motion for the approval of the ordinance.
I'll move for approval.
And I'll second. Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, everyone.
So wanted to give everybody just a chance to make their quick exit. And that takes us then to agenda item 34, which is Commissioner's Liaison Reports. Commissioner Nader, I'll start with you.
Yep. It was a busy couple of weeks. I attended the South Mountain Partnership Conservation Network, their winter partnership meeting. And I was amazed. They pool so many different groups together, and it was in York, and they were focusing on some of the things that were happening in York, which was just very exciting. And it has, while it's focused on trails, parks, greenways, they were really focused on the economic impact of that. And gave a couple of statistics that I just thought I would share. They have 5,240 employees in the outdoor economy, which results in about 135 million in wages annually. That's gone up 14% since 2010. And a lot of it was around the York County trail towns, which the York County Economic Alliance has taken a major role in. And it's resulting in some great economic development around their trailheads and along these paths. So it was really wonderful to see great activities resulting in great economic development. This board also attended the Carlisle Ice Fest ribbon cutting, and we had a lovely sculpture commemorating the county's 275th anniversary. Commissioner Fashi and I attended the Union Fire Company #1, their annual appreciation banquet, where we were really pleased and proud to present to our own Brian Hamilton of 911 a certificate acknowledging his 15-year tenure as chief of that fire company. He's not going away entirely, but he's stepping down as chief. So it was lovely, a lovely event. I attended the Freedom Physical Therapy ribbon cutting in Wormleysburg. That business received, I believe it was one of the first loans in quite a while for KDIC of $150,000 in financing. So wanted to be there for that event. I joined others, that would be Tim DeFore, Judge Brubaker, and Bruce Clash from the Carlisle School Board on a panel for junior leadership Cumberland program to talk about leadership and public service. And I'll tell you, it's always so wonderful to be around. These were high school juniors, and they are laser focused on their future and really, really engaged group. It was really enjoyable. Commissioner Fasci and I attended the open house for Rep. Davidson, along with folks from, Samantha, was it the just team that was children and youth? Did we have any other representatives? I know you, PR was there, but
it was children and youth.
Children and youth.
And they represented all of the human services department. So we had pamphlets for all the human services departments to give out to the residents.
Yeah, I thought that was great. They were repping for everybody, but the ladies did a wonderful job of engaging with the residents that were there to talk about the services that we have available. And, Representative Davidson is looking forward to, I think, engaging in Cumberland County, which we really appreciate. I participated in the local elected officials meeting of the South Central Workforce Development Board. Commissioner Eichelberger serves on that. I've been the alternate, so I wanted to jump in and start to get my feet wet on what that looks like. And I have a lot to learn on that. And additionally, then Commissioner Eichelberger and I attended the Leaders at Lunch program at the Army War College, and General Hill addressed the group on leadership. My ag board was canceled this week, so it was light on meetings, but a lot happening out in the community, and that is it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fasci.
Well, good morning, Cumberland County. I would remind you to use the Cumberland County Library System. There's things going on this weekend for children to celebrate Valentine's Day. So go to the library system website. You can pull down your individual member library and fun will be had by all. January 30th, I attended the Mental Health Summit follow-up. If you remember, there was a mental health summit at the Hershey Lodge and Convention Center. A team from Cumberland County went. I was a member of that team, so we had a follow-up with the National Center for State Courts. And it was a very interesting meeting, and the National Center for State Courts has a lot of things that they'd like to see courts doing in terms of mental health. I won't say advocacy, but in terms of making sure people are taken care of with mental health. And it was a very interesting conversation. We have a really great group that went, that they really have their eye on the ball and understand the parameters. So, one of the first things that the group said was, well, we know that you have all these things that you want us to do, but we are lacking in funding and we are lacking in time. And so that was how that meeting started. So I think there's maybe a bit of a disconnect between the National Courts Group and what's really going on the ground. But it was a good meeting. It's good that these things are out there circulating. But the reality of things is that we have nationally a lack of funding for mental health care. Just a serious lack of funding for mental health care. We have a lack of systems set up to take care of people. And this week I encountered a constituent who is an emergency responder. He's a first responder. He spent the last several weeks in the Potomac River recovering souls recovering people that passed. And he talked about how terrible that is on people's mental health. And so I'm talking with this wonderful man and a former police officer here in Cumberland County. And they both said, you know, we do not have the mental health care that we need in this country for anyone. And so I'm using this opportunity to put that back out there because we cannot, we just cannot stop talking about it and pushing for it. And one of the things that the National Courts Group talked about was, well, you have to go see your legislators. You have to go see your delegation. Well, we do, and we have, and we'll continue to do that. But this is a very serious issue, very serious. You know, the warden is not here anymore, but you know, one of the things that both of those first responders told me was, you know, we would encounter people with mental health issues and they would go to the Cumberland County Prison. And they were glad to go there because they had some very serious problems. So something to continue working on. The STOP meeting, the Stop Violence Against Women meeting, just letting everyone know the Victims' Rights Rally is April 10th at 6 p.m. at the historic courthouse. That is an excellent, excellent event to get to. The Western Cog met on 210, and Representative Glime's office was there, and they brought along, and I don't know if my colleagues have seen this, but the Sentinel ran an article on the FPR legislation and the process resetting after a snag last year on that bill. So that bill is going back through the process. It has implications to our conservation district should it pass. So it's something that we need to be ready for, but I'm hoping it passes because we need to get to some kind of resolution on food processing residuals and how they're handled in this county. 211, I did the Brown Bag Human Services lunch event with Brenda Penyak from the Department of Human Services, and they went through the governor's budget on human services. And this is what we're left with. The governor can propose everything in the world that he wants to. Everything in the world that he wants to. Things that we need for human services, but if the legislators will not pass it, it doesn't matter. I mean, the budget looks decent in terms of human services. I still don't believe that there's enough money being dedicated to mental health funding, but that additional $20 million is there again this year. But it's got to pass, right? If we want to be able to fund human services in a meaningful way, the budget has to pass, and we have to continue to work on those things. The Cumberland County Farm Bureau, in conjunction with our own conservation district, has some scholarships, and I have the Farm Bureau letter, their newsletter. So there's information there as well as at the conservation district about these scholarships, but they're just so great. There's a $2,500 scholarship and two $1,000 scholarships. And these are towards higher education of Cumberland County high school students pursuing a career in ag or an agricultural trade field. So something for students to take advantage of. The conservation district, it is time to pre-order your rain barrel. So, and you know, we have students that make the rain barrels. So that's time to do it. And then the conservation district is having their 47th annual tree seedling sale. That will be Thursday, April 24th and Friday, April 25th. But the deadline to order is March 21. I got mine in the mail. So I'm hoping that these are out and about, and you can also, of course, contact the conservation district for one. The library system board met. I know that my colleagues received the packets now. I'm assuming you're getting the minutes too, and if not, I will forward those over to you. Carolyn was just here, so I will just encourage everyone to visit the library. And I think that's it.
Yeah, Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, we have just a handful of things. So we heard from Justin earlier regarding the vendor issue with electronics recycling. So we're briefed on that. The authority meeting that was scheduled for the 18th canceled. So that's 2 months in a row, but most of the issues there are being handled or deferred through other means. The main one being the yard waste question that's still hanging over the group and us, frankly. So, but where that stands now is the municipalities are expressing continued interest in a new authority, which we had thought had evaporated, but they're going to be meeting February 20th And I'm pressing upon Justin that we really need to, because we're holding that equipment, we really need to bring that to some type of closure. They will be back to us shortly after the 20th to give us more information that we can evaluate on whether new authority is really going to be in the offing, or if that's just not going to happen. So let's see here. Also the Affordable Housing Trust Fund meeting was this week, and just a couple of items there. I'll give you a quick update on the status, the down payment and closing cost assistance program. Last year, 8 clients applied and closed on homes. In January this year, they had 1 client who applied and closed. February, we have 2 clients that are waiting to close by the end of the month. And there are 2 other clients who are approved, but they still have not received the additional information to finalize those. There was a significant discussion regarding the revamped financial reporting that Mary has been trying to get in place for the authority and for affordable housing in particular. So there was a bit of a deep dive on the financial statement, a lot of questions and answers. They have now identified that there are some dollars available for affordable housing projects that were not envisioned before. They're now clearly classified to be available. In that vein, we're also agreed, I think we're all familiar with the proposal Safe Harbor has out there to reclaim a number of Carlisle area properties and get them on a rehab list and a preventive maintenance list, and make those available for affordable housing. The board did agree to a 1-year $50,000 grant of the money. That still leaves a substantial a substantial amount of additional money available, but they are also interested in doing more of a push to see if there are additional proposals for application of that money before they commit more. So Safe Harbor will be welcome to come back in a year. So it's a bit of a kickstart for the multi-year project they've envisioned, but it's not what they were asking for. But I'm sure they can make that work, and that's a bit of good news coming out of that. So the only other item I have was regarding the local elected officials meeting of the WIB, of the Workforce Investment Board. That was a interesting meeting in that we did review and take action on a somewhat significant revisions of bylaws of the organization. Some of that was driven by new compliance requirements, and some of which were put in place with the Federal Workforce Investment and Opportunities Act, which of course now is under threat and maybe actually going away. But there was, of course, a lot of discussion about federal funding sources, which the WIB is responsible for. And obviously a lot of uncertainty surrounding that, as it is with most of the other federal monies that we're dealing with as a county. So most of the provisions were simply to bring us into compliance now that some of the requirements of following the reorg several years ago by state law, it brings those things into greater clarity. There is some particularly information regarding indemnification of the counties that was interesting, and I'll have more to share on that later. We did jigger the executive committee. Bob Zabrowski is back as chair of Franklin County. Bob's done a fine job there for quite some time. I was honored to be renominated and reelected as the vice chair of that board. Alice Gray from Juniata County is the secretary of that board. The only other item I'd mention is that Jesse McCree, who is the director there, had taken on an increasing role as an advisor with the Federal Reserve Office in Philadelphia. And he's been doing that more or less just as an information source for them. But because the WIB is concerned about revenue, they are approaching Federal Reserve about maybe having Jesse available in a role that would generate revenue for the WIB. And he seems to think that's going to happen. So that would certainly be a bit of good news for them in an unsettled fiscal climate. And I think that covers as much as we need to cover today. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. That takes us to agenda item 35, which is a report of executive sessions. And I would like to report that on February 6, 2025 at 9:30 a.m., there was an executive session regarding personnel. And now I'll ask if there is any other business to come before the board today. Hearing none, seeing none, we are adjourned.